Welcome, everybody. Happy draft day. My name is Metal Mike, and welcome to this special edition of the Huddle Hub podcast, pre-NFL draft edition. We are 30 minutes away from the first pick being put in. And as of right now, as of this moment, the Las Vegas Raiders are the number one overall pick, and it's kind of obvious who they'd be going after. We're going to talk about all that and so much more here on this special half-hour edition of the Huddle Hub podcast. Before we get into it, please make sure you're heading over to the Huddle Hub podcast over on social media right after I get off air here today. X, Instagram, TikTok, and on Epic Studios at the Huddle Hub Pod. Over on YouTube at the Huddle Hub Pod, you're going to hit the follow button. Over on the YouTube, you're going to hit the subscribe button. That's how you follow on the YouTube. Make sure you're following if you're watching on Twitch right now, and help us build the Huddle Hub podcast through the 2026 NFL Draft and beyond. So it is draft day. Happy draft day, everybody. First round kicks off in about 28 minutes, and the Las Vegas Raiders will be on the clock. Now, we're going to talk draft this whole time. We got news that has come out that we could talk about, but that's not what the day is around today. Today is around the first round of the NFL Draft. So let's talk about it a little bit. You hear all the talk about the NFL Draft all day. I've been listening to Draft Talk all day. And one thing that has not been brought up until about 2 minutes ago of the possibilities that I've been talking about, and that is the possibilities of the Arizona Cardinals trading up to the number 1 spot with the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, listening to NFL Talk Radio today and everything that I've mentioned the past couple days about, or the past couple weeks about Kirk Cousins coming into Las Vegas, and if the Raiders draft Mendoza at number 1, have Kirk Cousins play. No matter what, I feel like the Raiders are going to have Kirk Cousins as their starting quarterback on that first Sunday in September. Or whenever the Raiders play, because there's a chance they play on Sunday night. There's a chance they play on Monday night. Who knows? But there's been a lot of talk about Fernando Mendoza today, right? A lot of talk about some of the stuff that was seen in the national championship game, how he was sacked a couple times. You know, you're going to hear all of this stuff about all these players right now. This is the time that you're going to hear all this stuff. One thing we need to remember is they are human beings and they're not perfect. Nobody's perfect, right? And especially when it comes to playing sports, nobody is perfect. But the guys that get drafted tonight are the guys that are going to be a part of your franchise for at least the next 4 years. Because a team may not pick up their 5th-year option. A team may say, hey, we want to move on. And we've seen first-round draft picks get moved after 3 years, after 2 years. Hell, we've seen first-round draft picks get moved after year 1. We've seen it. So it would not surprise me if Las Vegas is sitting in their war room right now for the next 25 minutes contemplating, is this the right move? Should we consider moving this pick? Yes, you have the golden ticket. You have the number 1 pick. But if you just so happen to trade with Arizona, you'd be back at 3. Which means you could most likely have a 97% chance of getting the next guy that you'd like to get over Fernando Mendoza. What if Las Vegas shocks us at number 1 and don't go Mendoza? What if they shock us? If you go back and if you go over onto the Huddle Hub Podcast YouTube right now or after I get off air here and watch me and John's mock draft from Tuesday, I picked for the AFC teams and John picked for the NFC teams. Go see who I picked for the Las Vegas Raiders at 1. Probably shock you. It probably would. But is it out of the realm of possibilities that they do not go Mendoza at 1? No. We've seen crazy things happen on nights like this. The Atlanta Falcons 2 years ago, Michael Penix Jr., after signing Kirk Cousins to a big deal. Now think of that. The Falcons go out and spend all of that money on Kirk Cousins. The Raiders go out and spend all that money on Kirk Cousins. And I know everybody wants to say $20 million guaranteed. It's only 1 year. That's still $20 million in cap space. That's still $20 million that they could have used on depth players. So you cannot sit here and tell me they don't have some type of commitment to Kirk Cousins for at least this year. And Fernando Mendoza is the number 1 overall pick in the draft, right? He's the number 1 overall pick. He's going to be the number 1 overall pick. So I'm looking something up. Because you would think I would know this information. So the last time the number 1 overall pick in the NFL draft that did not start in their first year, okay? Now, as we know, the number one overall pick always tends to start right away. Right? These past couple years, the number one overall pick is the starter. Whether it's quarterback, running back, wide receiver, defensive player, doesn't matter. Always a starter. The last number one overall pick in the NFL draft who did not start in their first year was Ki-Jana Carter, running back of 1995, or you can argue Carson Palmer in 2003. Now, Carson Palmer, he was selected number one overall, but did not play a single game during his rookie season. And then he took over as the starter in his second year. Ki-Jana Carter for the Cincinnati Bengals as well suffered a season-ending injury in preseason of his rookie year and did not start. So he was set to start. Many number one picks are immediate starters. Others, like David Carr, were named starters immediately despite poor performances and injuries. So, is Fernando Mendoza about to be the first number one overall pick in 23 years not to start in their first year? Is he about to be? Maybe. But we got 21 minutes. And part of me feels like the Arizona Cardinals are calling Vegas right now for that pick to get Mendoza. Part of me feels like they are. And everybody is going to be shocked if it happens. I'm going to say this right now. I won't be. We got some news that came out. NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell said that on pre-draft interviews with ESPN that the Mike Vrabel situation did not fall under the league's personal conduct policy. Okay. So that's just some news about Mike Vrabel that we are not going to get into at this moment. But we'll have to see. When you look at the draft board for the top 30 players right now, Fernando Mendoza, quarterback, Indiana, expected to go number one. David Bailey, edge rusher out of Texas Tech. Arvell Reese, edge rusher out of Ohio State. Carnell Tate, wide receiver out of Ohio State. Jeremiah Love, running back out of Notre Dame. Jeremiah Love is another player that is going to be highly watched on tonight, seeing that he is the top running back in this class. Now, there are some good running backs in this class next to him, like a Nick Singleton out of Penn State. Hell of a running back. But Jeremiah Love is the top running back. And it's going to be a curious question of who he goes to. Now, some are saying that he's going to go to Tennessee. Some are saying that he's going to be picked up by the Giants at 5. And some are saying that the Saints might end up moving up to go get him. And that would pretty much leave Alvin Kamara obsolete in a sense. They're just going to let his contract run out. So the Saints, Giants, Titans are the top 3 teams right now talked about with Jeremiah Love at running back. I could see it. I could. Sonny Styles, linebacker of Ohio State. Francis Maigoa, offensive tackle out of Miami. Ruben Bain Jr., edge rusher out of Miami, one of the top edge rushers being talked about right now. Caleb Downs, safety of Ohio State. Mansour Delane, cornerback out of LSU. Jermon McCoy, cornerback out of Tennessee. Mekhi Lemon, wide receiver out of USC. I think Mekhi Lemon might go to the Dolphins at 11. I think so. I have a feeling Mekhi Lemon or Omar Cooper Jr. goes to the Dolphins at 11. Spencer Fanu, offensive tackle of Utah. Jordan Tyson, wide receiver out of Arizona State. Monroe Freeling, offensive tackle out of Georgia. Caleb Lomu, offensive tackle out of Utah. Dylan Thieneman, safety out of Oregon. Kenyon Sadiq, tight end out of Oregon. Kenyon Sadiq, another player, top of his position. Talks about him going to Baltimore at 14, Carolina at 19, Philadelphia at 23. I would love for Kenyon Sadiq to fall to the Philadelphia Eagles at 23. Obviously, be a great pickup for the Philadelphia Eagles, even though we just signed Dallas Goedert to a 1-year deal. But I could see Kenyon Sadiq going to the Baltimore Ravens. I could see Kenyon Sadiq going to the Carolina Panthers. That would be a great pickup for that Carolina offense. a promising Carolina offense who is picking things up year by year as of late. Keldrick Falk, edge rusher out of Auburn. Peter Wood, defensive tackle out of Clemson. Aleva Vivega, Ione, offensive guard out of Penn State. He's one that I could see going to the Baltimore Ravens as well. I think he's a top pick for the Baltimore Ravens at 14. If they do not go Kenyon Sadiq, they are definitely going Vega Ione out of Penn State. I think so. I think that's a deadlock right there for the Baltimore Ravens to pick him up. Caden Proctor, offensive tackle out of Alabama. Omar Cooper Jr., wide receiver out of Indiana. Caden McDonald, defensive tackle out of Ohio State. KC Concepcion out of Texas, wide receiver out of Texas A&M. I think he's a 49er at 27. I don't see him going anywhere else. I think he goes to the Niners at 27. So it's going to be a little bit of a night for KC Concepcion, but he's going to fall into the 49ers' lap. And I think they'll focus on their offensive line in the second round. Akeem Messador, edge rusher out of Miami. Blake Miller, offensive tackle out of Clemson. Colton Hood, cornerback out of Tennessee. Max Ahian Anchor, offensive tackle out of Arizona State. Kristen Miller, defensive tackle out of Georgia. Brandon Seiss, cornerback out of South Carolina. And Zion Young, edge rusher out of Missouri. That's the top 32 players in this draft this year. Ty Simpson follows up at 33. Ty Simpson, I definitely could see him going in the first round. There are two teams that I think he falls into, and that's Pittsburgh or, and you're going to be surprised by this, the Rams. The Rams. So, we got about 10, 15 minutes till the draft starts, okay? And we're here to talk about the draft. We're here to talk some draft. So how about we do this? Let's do a quick fill-in mock draft right now. Let's live pick for the teams. Okay? At number 1, Las Vegas Raiders. Fernando Mendoza, quarterback out of Indiana. The New York Jets are at number 2. I think they go Carnell Tate, wide receiver out of Ohio State. The Arizona Cardinals at number 3. Big need on offensive line and edge rusher. I could definitely see them going defense on this one. I'll say David Bailey, edge rusher out of Texas Tech. The Tennessee Titans are at 4. I could see them going Arvell Reese out of Ohio State. The New York Giants at 5, looking for a wide receiver at their top. I could see it with Mekhi Lemon. Now, yes, I said Mekhi Lemon to the Dolphins at 11. There's a possibility he falls there. There's talk about that happening. But I could see the Giants going for a wide receiver as well, and Mekhi Lemon at 5. At 6, the Cleveland Browns, Francis Maigoa. I see him going at 6 to the Browns. At 7, the Washington Commanders, Jordan Tyson, wide receiver out of Ohio State. At 8, the New Orleans Saints. They're going to be looking for an edge rusher in this one. I can see Sonny Styles heading out to New Orleans at 8. At 9, the Kansas City Chiefs. I see Reuben Bain Jr. being picked up by the Chiefs at 9. And then the Giants are back up there at number 10. And I could see them going possibly I could see them going cornerback or safety. Safety, I could see them going Caleb Downs out of Ohio State. At 11, the Miami Dolphins, like I said, they're going to be looking for a wide receiver. And hey, if Mekhi Lemon ain't there, why not take Omar Cooper Jr. out of Indiana? The Dallas Cowboys at 11, I've been saying it for a while. I think they're going to go defense. I think Mansour Delane is in the Dallas Cowboy uniform at the end of the night. The Los Angeles Rams, their top need right now, it shows wide receiver, which is very crazy. I don't know if that's their obvious, top, but I could see them going Spencer Fano, offensive tackle out of Utah. Now, the funny thing is Jeremiah Love is still on the board at running back. It's crazy how you start looking at this and thinking, this guy may fall further. The Rams at 13, or the Ravens at 14. I've been saying it all along. I think they go Vega Ione out of Penn State, the offensive guard. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they'll be looking for an edge rusher. I've been picking this guy for a while for them. Keldrick Falk, edge rusher out of Auburn. The New York Jets, now we had them pick up Carnell Tate, the wide receiver out of Ohio State at 2. Now I think they will focus on their defense. I could see them going Akeem Messidor out of Miami. The Lions, they're going to look at their offensive line, specifically that tackle position. Monroe Freeling would be the perfect offensive tackle to head out to Detroit. Minnesota Vikings, I could see them picking up Dylan Thieneman out of Oregon, the safety. And then we go to the Carolina Panthers. And again, they're going to be looking at their offensive line. Could they end up going tight end? Who knows? I actually think that Caleb Lomu, offensive tackle out of Utah, ends up with the Carolina Panthers. At 20, the Dallas Cowboys back on the board, and I've been saying for a while, I think they stick defense on this first round. Jermon McCoy out of Tennessee, the cornerback, and that will give them 2 defensive backs where they definitely need the help. At 21, the Pittsburgh Steelers, a lot of talk about the quarterback position. With the Pittsburgh Steelers and the uncertainties of an Aaron Rodgers coming back. I think they will go Ty Simpson, quarterback out of Alabama. The Los Angeles Chargers, the one position that's been big on them was the offensive guard position. Obviously, the top offensive guard is off the board, so they would have to look at their other needs. I could see Peter Woods, defensive tackle out of Clemson, heading out to Los Angeles to be a Charger. I got Kenyon Sadiq, the tight end out of Oregon, heading to Philadelphia. Okay. At 24, the Cleveland Browns, I think they'll stick around in the offensive line position. Caden Proctor, offensive tackle out of Alabama. The Chicago Bears defensive tackle is one of their top needs. Edge rusher as well. They'll be looking for a wide receiver. Chicago Bears, I mean, this is crazy. This is crazy to think about who they can go after. Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, they could probably get in the second round, get some help in that defensive backfield. I could see them going Colton Hood, cornerback out of Tennessee. This is an edge rusher I've had going to Buffalo since the beginning of the whole mock draft situation. Zion Young out of Missouri heading to Buffalo. Casey Concepcion, the wide receiver out of Texas A&M, heading out to San Francisco. The Houston Texans, the newly added David Montgomery to the offense. They're going to be looking for that offensive line. Guys they're going to be able to get in the first round. I could see them probably going linebacker, maybe edge rusher, defensive tackle maybe on this one. I'm going to say Caden McDonald out of Ohio State. This is like a rush mock draft that we're doing here. The Kansas City Chiefs, they got to add into that defensive backfield. They definitely do. So we'll say Brandon Seiss out of South Carolina heading out to Kansas City. The Miami Dolphins back on the board, got a wide receiver with their first pick. They can end up going defense with their second pick in the draft. Kristen Miller, defensive tackle out of Georgia, at 30 to the Dolphins. Now, the New England Patriots, last thought on this, I could see New England, if New England ends up trading this 30th pick to the 31st pick to the Philadelphia Eagles, then the A.J. Brown trade is a definite happening. A lot of people saying, yeah, it's definite, but if that trade happens tonight, Philadelphia comes back into the first round. You could see it. It could happen. I could see the New England Patriots, if they do have a pick in the first round at the end of the night, not trading out of Philadelphia. Top need right now, wide receiver, bring in a Denzel Boston out of Washington. And then that leaves the Seattle Seahawks to where Jeremiah Love falls into their lap at 32. So there that is. a quick mock draft right there. See what happens. But guys, I'm going to be back after the draft tonight, and we're going to talk post-draft. All right? We're going to talk about the first round after the first round ends. I'm going to go get ready. NFL draft happening in 7 minutes. Before I get out of here, make sure you go ahead and follow the Huddle Hub Podcast over on X, Instagram, TikTok, and Epic Studios. You're going to hit the subscribe button over on the YouTube channel at the Huddle Hub Pod for all of those. And here on Twitch at the Huddle Hub Podcast. All the links to all of our social media is in the bio of the Twitch channel. Just click on the one you desire to go to and help us build the Huddle Hub Podcast through the 2026 NFL Draft and beyond. Guys, like I said, I will be back for the post-draft show tonight, right after round one. Be good to each other, be kind to each other, take care of each other, be patient with each other. Remember, the world is not moving as fast as you think. I will see you guys after round one tonight, right here on Twitch, right here on YouTube. Until then, I'll see you guys later. Deuces.